Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well and binging on shows on OTT just like yours truly. I welcome you to my channel Pixelent OTT Reviews and to this very special episode where we are going to talk about child prodigies, child actors who have had an impactful debut either in films or now on OTT and have crested the wave of popularity. But in this episode, what we are going to be talking about is what happens after. Once the euphoria dies down, how do the adolescents cope with name, fame, fortune? How do they ace that game? What does it take for them to cope up with this sudden attention of media on them? So, straight away, let's dive into this episode and this interesting topic. But before we do that, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and also press the bell notification icon so that every episode and every special episode that we are going to be doing on this channel, you keep getting updates. The debut of Owen Cooper in Adolescence, which is like the talk of the town. Anybody has seen the show and they have absolutely loved the supernova 13-year-old and the way he is debuted in this series. Through most of the series, we see Owen's character Jamie Miller, this 13-year-old boy who's taken into police custody. He's a frightened, timid, a regular guy, a schoolboy who's thrust into an environment which would scare anybody. But then slowly, layer by layer, it is revealed that he may be suffering from some mental issues, and then suddenly comes the outburst, which has become such a famous thing in the series and which has become the talking point about this series. One wonders how at such a tender age, this boy from northern England, without much acting experience or even the emotional exposure needed to essay such a difficult part, was able to nail it and slay it so completely that I think even actors his age would find it difficult to compare to or to even come up with such a brilliant performance. I think these child actors are able to play these complex and difficult, emotionally challenging roles so beautifully and nail it is because they come on board with a certain amount of innocence, of not knowing, of a wide-eyed wonder, which makes them approach the whole process with an honesty. And this is the biggest currency in acting. Any actor worth his salt would tell you that. I would draw parallels with Owen Cooper's role as Jamie Miller in Adolescence to that of Leonardo DiCaprio's role in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, or Macaulay Culkin's debut in Home Alone movies, or even Haley Joel Osment's role in The Sixth Sense. These are all child-centric movies which concentrate heavily on the child actor's performance to nail the narrative. However, what happens when this frenzy dies down and these child prodigies, they grow up into young adults or adults and start looking for work and seek work in filmdom? For most of them, it's a burnout. I think that's because when they grow up, they don't get the kind of stories or they don't get those kind of films which would be as great as the debut films or series they did, which actually made them famous in the first place. And also the second part is that, like when a child grows up, that transition from boyhood to manhood or from girlhood to womanhood can sometimes lead to not such great results and doesn't transform well on screen. And that is why I feel that show business sometimes can be such a cruel and such an exacting medium that it spares nobody. For some child actors, the sharp focus of the media after their stellar debuts brings to fore their family problems. Like in the case of Macaulay Culkin, his estrangement with his father brought to fore such ugliness and such drama that was unfortunate for this child to deal with at such a young age. And I think that is why it resulted in him falling into drugs and, like being arrested for drug possession charges. And then his career also did not take off because the kind of movies that he got after that, they were nice, but they were not up to the mark. And even his music career didn't take off. And now at 40 plus, he's just become a footnote in the annals of Hollywood history. A similar thing happened to Haley Joel Osment, who made such a stunning debut with The Sixth Sense, and then later followed it up with AI, artificial intelligence, directed by Steven Spielberg. There was a time when people couldn't have enough of this young child prodigy. Everybody was in love with his acting skills and his higher than usual emotional IQ, and he was the toast of town. However, as he grew up, roles started drying up. He did not get the kind of films that he wanted to do, because I think he did not grow up into this beautiful adult like how he was a beautiful child. His transition from boy to man was not that great. The only child prodigy who has been able to buck the tide and come out winner on the other side is perhaps Leonardo DiCaprio. He first appeared as a teenager in the TV series Parenthood, and then that very year he followed it up with a stellar acting debut in the film What's Eating Gilbert Grape. In the film, he played the part of a teenager who's suffering from development disability, and he won an Academy Award nomination also for this film. What happened after that is Leonardo DiCaprio took a conscious decision of taking on roles which were breaking the mold. He did not fall into a particular kind of roles, or he did not choose roles consciously which would typecast him. And then came Titanic. After the huge success of Titanic, again Leonardo DiCaprio made a conscious decision of not choosing roles which were similar or which would typecast him as this boy lover in the role which is similar to the Titanic. He did a movie with Martin Scorsese, Gangs of New York, in which he played a gangster, and then he followed it up with Blood Diamond, which was a political thriller where he plays this Rhodesian diamond smuggler. And these are the kind of roles which suddenly catapulted him into a different league altogether. And then came The Aviator, where he played the role of Howard Hughes, which was such a complex character to play, and he aced that role, and that really established him in the league of Hollywood superstars. Now, primarily what has happened in Leonardo's case, which has favored him, is also the fact that his transition from boyhood to manhood has been very easy on the eyes. Coming to the moot point of this episode, on how child prodigies and child actors become such failures and they fall into the trap of the glamour and the glitz and the drug and the alcohol and the partying and the life of excess. Leonardo DiCaprio is the only one we think so far who has stayed away from falling into this trap and who has really taken care of his mental health. And that is the reason why he's been successful. But for a child who has suddenly become famous overnight, and he's been thrust on every magazine cover, and he's been interviewed by all the top TV shows, and they are invited to all the red carpets, whether it's a social event, whether it's movie premiere, or whether it's fashion awards, or whether it's film festivals, this sudden pace of active lifestyle is what these children find difficult to cope with. And if they do not have that kind of support system at home, if they have trouble at home, or if they do not have the right kind of guidance, they can easily fall into the trap and they can become lost in this whole jungle of glamour. Summing it up, it might seem very difficult for these child prodigies and child actors to make it good and become super successful and stars even in their adulthood, with the various problems that we have discussed in this episode. But nowadays the scene is changing, I hope for the better. Parents of these child actors have become more conscious of the glamour and the glitz and the traps which lay therein. And also the child actors are becoming increasingly active in their efforts to stay away from the traps of this excessive partying, and like they are trying to cope with their fame and their fortune in a nice way. I hope that they are not what the previous generations have faced so far. That is my 2 bit on this amazing topic, and I hope you found it interesting. Please comment your thoughts and start a conversation therein, and like this video and share this video with people who you think might be interested in this topic. With this, I take your leave and wish you all the very best. Till the next time, we see you on the other side with a lot more juice and a lot more excitement and a lot more info on what is there to watch on OTT. Goodbye.